Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the HODLNOTS weekly warm-up. I'm John,
I'm Vicky.
and this is the news at 9 a.m. UTC. Let's get into some of the crypto headlines that have been making headlines over the last few days.
Yeah, and we haven't heard from him in a while, actually, but Michael Saylor says to Bitcoin could surge to 150,000 by the end of 2025. So that's actually not that long to go. So obviously, Michael Saylor is the co-founder of MicroStrategy, which is actually now Strategy. And he has forecasted, like I said, 150,000 by the end of 2025. He said, I think that these 12 months have probably been the best 12 months in the history of the industry. And he said that at the Money 2020 conference in Las Vegas on Monday. So, Saylor cited the US Securities and Exchange Commission embracing tokenized securities, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent endorsing stablecoins to protect dollar dominance, and the overall regulatory pivot in the US as reasons to remain bullish. And he said, our expectations right now is that by the end of the year, it should be about 150,000. And that's the consensus of the equity analysts who cover our company and the Bitcoin industry. So this is going to be interesting because I don't know if everyone remembered, but on our happy hour hangout a couple months ago, we predicted what Bitcoin was going to be. So in December, we'll see who is right.
Or closest to it, indeed. We've got those
Mm.
screenshots that will be on the
Yeah.
last happy hour hangout of the year. That will most likely bring it up. Bear in mind, there is one later this month. But back into the crypto headlines. Let's keep fingers that Bitcoin does recover because 150,000 is the goal, according to Michael Saylor. That said, Friday was Halloween. Friday was the October 31st, but it was also the 17-year anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper having first been written. Now, in that, or on that vein at least, Bitcoin's foundational document turned 17, making the journey of the world's first decentralized digital currency from a niche financial experiment to a 2 plus trillion dollar global asset that is held by governments, institutions, and you and I. Now, Bitcoin's creator, at least Satoshi Nakamoto, first shared that Bitcoin white paper 17 years ago on October 31st in 2008 in response to a global financial crisis. Now, we know where it's gone from then. It's from an experiment to one of the largest. It's now the eighth largest financial asset in the world. It's been fighting between Amazon and a few others. But that said, there have been ups and downs. At the moment, a little bit of a down, as you can see with that price chart up above Vicky there. But that said, October is normally known as Uptober, and we were quite bullish going into October at the beginning of that last month. However, it is the first red October in 7 years. And it's going to happen, ladies and gents. Things are shifting somewhat. Now, despite the milestone, Bitcoin is set to log and has logged its first monthly loss in October and in 7 years. So Bitcoin has fallen more than 3.5% in the month of October, breaking a 6-year streak of positive October performance. This is all according to data from CoinGlass. Now, we know that October is always, the kind of thing we always need a little bit of positivity, but it's okay. Maybe Go-vember, according to Vicky, will be better. But historically, October has seen or has been Bitcoin's second strongest month, with average returns previously of 19.9%, which is huge. The last time, obviously, that Bitcoin did have a red October, besides this year, was back in 2018 when it fell 3.8%. So that's okay. There's opportunities, and we know if you know how to read the charts and how to trade and when to take positions and when to sell, when to hodl, all of that within our foundational courses as well. But it's okay. Go-vember is around the corner. Hey, Vicky, we're in it right now.
Yeah. Yes, we are in Go-vember, and we'll talk about Go-vember a bit later in this broadcast. But on to the headlines. So interestingly, from Bitcoin to BNB. So BNB has actually done fairly well this year. In fact, very well this year. And it's just come out that 2/3 of BNB supply is held by the public. And that CZ, the owner of Binance, only holds less than 1%, which is really interesting. So the latest data is roughly 66 to 67% of BNB's total supply is held by the public, which is you and me, including on exchanges or those in self-custody wallets. So around 27% of the total supply is controlled by the BNB Foundation, which maintains a burn reserve used for programmatic token burns. And those are a mechanism designed to reduce the supply and reinforce BNB's deflationary model gradually. So meanwhile, Binance's treasury accounts for about 4 to 5% of circulating BNB, which serves operational and custodial functions. And the Binance founder CZ only holds less than 1% of the total supply. So that's really interesting to see that a token that he's created is, well, actually a coin that he's created, he only holds less than 1%.
Absolutely. No, we there has been an article in the news yesterday around another token that CZ has bought into. Some of you might have seen Aster doing quite well, but that's okay. We're going to be focusing more on Bitcoin for the moment. We're coming back to it. Why? Now, interestingly enough, we have covered IPOs and ICOs, IDOs in the past. I mean, we have our very own IPO members product within BTAV token. But that said, according to a Wall Street veteran, he says Bitcoin is having its own IPO moment. Now, what does that mean? So, meanwhile, Bitcoin might be moving sideways, but according to this veteran, Jordi Visser, says that there is still faith in the underlying asset as shown through ETF approvals and the Bitcoin network hash rate hitting new highs. Now, he says Bitcoin is an initial product offering, IPO phase, as OG holders, as we've mentioned in the last few broadcasts of Bitcoin, these holders rotating out and fresh blood is scooping up those tokens and distributing the supply across a broader number of people, says Jordi Fisser. Now, in a podcast on Saturday, he said that coins, especially these old coins that have been dormant for years, are now on the move. We've noticed, a bunch of these guys who are selling these OG whales, selling the Bitcoin that they've been holding for 10 years plus. And he says it's not happening all at once, not in a panic, but steadily. And he says new investors, obviously we know the BlackRocks and the strategies and everybody else, new investors are stepping in, accumulating on these dips. Now, the result of this is that sideways grind that drives everybody crazy. The fundamentals are fine, the broader market is running, but the stock just sits there. This consolidation phase is frustrating and the sentiment is terrible. He says this is the exact same pattern you see after a major IPO when lockup periods expire. You guys might have heard of lockup periods or vesting periods. He says the stock doesn't crash, it consolidates. The early investors sell, they make their money, but then new long-term holders start to accumulate and ownership transfers from the visionaries to the institutions. So, ladies and gents, this is one perspective on what people are seeing around Bitcoin. A lot of people, early investors in any product, that are going to sell off, but new people come in and they accumulate and they hold. And this is what we're starting to see, fresh blood coming into the market. So, Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency industry is always evolving. Interesting time, Vix. Super interesting times.
Yeah, that's a really super interesting take on that, actually. And
Mm.
if you think about it, it's true. So really, really interesting that he's brought that up. Now, the next story we wanted to do, because some of you might have seen things on X over the weekend about Mexi, and we wanted to just make sure everyone is okay because we have a lot of traders that trade on Mexi. And the headline is really Mexi denies insolvency rumors, faces record withdrawals as users seek proof of solvency. So what happened was, in a short period of time over the weekend, approximately $5.5 billion was withdrawn from Mexi crypto exchange. So the Seychelles-based cryptocurrency MEXI found itself in the midst of controversy last Friday as users on social media, mainly X, called for immediate withdrawals amid speculation about the exchange's potential bankruptcy. So in response, MEXI unfroze 3.1 million in assets belonging to a high-profile trader after facing significant public backlash. The decision was announced on the 31st of October and follows accusations from the exchange that the trader used bots for illicit profits, which he refuted with evidence of manual trading. The controversy intensified when on-chain investigators said that MEXI's ownership structure was not great, leading to mass withdrawals and a 15% drop in the exchange's 24-hour trading volume. So the incident has raised catching. The incident has raised concerns about transparency and fairness in centralized exchanges, especially affecting small traders. So basically what happened was there was a whale who had his funds frozen. He went onto social media, tweeted everything out or X'd everything out, and then everyone jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh, MEXI's falling. And that actually made everyone, a lot of people, withdraw their funds. And then there's this big kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. But what's happened now is MEXI has issued an apology and denied ongoing insolvency rumors. And basically, they reported that withdrawal delays and increased funds outflows were okay. The crypto exchange has updated its Merkle tree data basically tonight to allow users to verify the reserves directly. So the exchange issued a public statement reaffirming that all assets are fully backed and supported by proof of reserve, showing over 100% coverage. The clarification follows rising speculation on social media about MEXI's liquidity, with some users claiming to have experienced slower transaction times. And interestingly, MEXI is not the only exchange experiencing such a massive outflow of funds at the moment, but it is the largest in the group. So over the past 24, 48 hours, Gemini, OKX, and they were also shown to have significant outflows. So we just wanted to bring that story to you because you might have heard it on X, and there was a couple of questions in the lodge about MEXI, and it seems like it was one incident that caused this. You'll never know, but so far so good with MEXI, and just be cautious, especially now with what we actually reported in the lodge the other day about their KYC. So maybe just not hold lots of money on MEXI at the moment. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Now, speaking from outflows to inflows, and this is something we've also started covering in the last couple of weeks. Solana ETFs are starting to see inflows for the fifth consecutive day amidst a capital rotation from Bitcoin and Ethereum funds. So according to data from Sosa Value, spot Solana ETFs added $44.48 million on Friday, bringing a cumulative inflow to $199.2 million and total assets to over $502 million within these spot Solana. And so this is the Bitwise Solana ETF. Or part of it, they helped lead the charge, contributing to the bulk new capital with a 5% daily growth. So what does it mean? Money flowing into Solana? Well, it means that funds, like as mentioned in the title, are rotating from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Solana. Now, in contrast, so Bitcoin ETFs saw 191.6 million in daily net flows versus 199 from Solana on that same day, continuing a week-long trend of profit taking. So people have been taking the profits out of those ETFs. The funds saw $488 million in outflows on Thursday and 470 million the previous day last week, Wednesday. That is a lot. Where are those funds going? As mentioned. So even with spot Ethereum ETFs, they've also posted a lot of outflows, 98 million, reducing the cumulative inflow to $14 billion. So some money going out, lots of money coming in still for those Ethereum ETFs, but a lot of it now rotating into Solana. Solana ETFs are surging on fresh catalysts and capital rotation as Bitcoin and Ethereum see profit taking after these strong runs. The shift signals rising appetite for new narratives and staking-driven yield opportunities. Now, you might have seen a lot of the exchanges, especially in some of the ETFs as well, are offering a stake yielding, so it's like an earn reward as well, and people finding that the Solana options are far better. Now, analysts suggest that Solana's momentum could continue into next week, this week, as Bitcoin and Ethereum consolidate. So while Bitcoin's going sideways and Ethereum's going sideways, the money's coming out of those spot ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Money's starting to flow into Solana. Not financial advice, but keep an eye on that. All right, that's it. Let's go to Europe for some new shifts over there, Vicky.
Yeah, even with Bitcoin falling and the sky is falling, but people are still adopting. And Germany, they have a political party over there called AfD, and they have proposed adding Bitcoin to the national reserves. And that follows France's lead. So Germany's Alternative for Germany, which is AfD party, has presented a motion to establish a national Bitcoin reserve, positioning the digital asset as part of the country's long-term financial strategy. The proposal seeks to diversify Germany's holdings beyond gold and foreign currency, making a significant policy shift from last year's government liquidation of seized Bitcoin. So, if approved, the move would make Germany the first major European nation to officially hold Bitcoin as part of its state's reserve. The AfD, Germany's second largest opposition group, argues that Bitcoin can serve as protection against inflation, as a counterbalance, to traditional monetary systems. The motion also promotes Bitcoin as free state money, suggesting it could protect personal and national autonomy compared to the proposed digital euro. So again, even though everything is falling, people are still adopting it, and so are governments. So that's great news.
Lots and lots of global adoption by nations. I reckon by the end of this year, Vicky, we're going to hear more stories on more countries adopting. We spoke about last week with 8 countries in Africa whose regulations are currently in place or are being developed around that. So it's almost like a continental race. We'll see who wins in the end. I think America's still in the lead with a lot of the changes. But either way, let's go back to an IPO story. And we have spoken about this before. You remember MetaMask? Something that we deal with quite often. For those of you in terms of self-custodial wallets, especially with BTC token, more news on that coming up this week, by the way. But Consensus, which is the parent company of MetaMask, they are preparing for an IPO with Wall Street giants. Now, Consensus, obviously, it used to be an Ethereum-based wallet only, which was MetaMask, now multi wallets as well, is planning their initial IPO offering, and they're saying that they're enlisting the help of JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs to assist with this. Now, their decision to go public follows a swath of recent IPOs by other crypto-related firms, including Circle, which we've spoken about, the company behind the USDC stablecoin, and Bullish, a crypto exchange company and owner of crypto news outlet CoinDesk. Now, Circle, we know, had their massive debut in June of this year, opening at more than double of its IPO price at $31. And went up to $69 per share. Its value rose rapidly, hitting a high around $298 within the same month. Currently back down to 131. Now, this is part of the reason why Consensus, at least MetaMask's parent company, is looking to do this because other such crypto-centric companies having done that as well. Now, the prospects for these crypto firms going public have improved since Donald Trump returned to the White House, with its administration's staunchly pro-crypto stance fueling the market's appetite for crypto-related companies. We touched on that with the Michael Saylor story about his positivity around Bitcoin going to 150, purely because the global political landscape is shifting, especially in the States, as mentioned. So maybe some good news there for MetaMask and at least Consensus if they do go public on the Wall Street side of things. So more positive news coming up and around that. We do know that there are some developments around MetaMask and some other of their native tokens and a few other things. So for those of you who do have MetaMask and do engage with it, do keep an eye on future news around that. Vicky, back to you.
Yeah, interestingly, just on a side note, I actually created another MetaMask wallet today, or I recreated it, and I was asked the question as I created it, would you like to opt into that new earning thing they have? So it actually has started, interestingly enough.
Okay.
So it's quite exciting. And something else that is exciting, more adoption. So Western Union, remember Western Union announces US stablecoin on Solana. So Western Union is introducing a Solana-based settlement system and plans a new stablecoin, the US dollar payment token, which is USDPT. And they're going to roll that out in the first half of next year. So the stablecoin will be issued by Anchorage Digital, a federally regulated digital asset bank, and Western Union, which serves roughly 10 million users across its payment network, is positioning the token to cut transfer costs and improve settlement speed on public infrastructure. So even the Western Union has been around forever, and they're actually jumping on as well. So it's really great to see that happening.
Absolutely. Many people use it around the world. We've spoken about something similar here in Africa called
Yeah.
Cash, and it's about the speed and the security of that infrastructure. We've heard about PayPal and their stablecoin as well. So, with these big money transfer giants, again, globally adopting, good things are coming faster, safer, secure than the old traditional systems. All right. Speaking about further support, let's hear from Visa. Now, Visa is going to support four stable coins on four different blockchains. That's amazing. So Visa has expanded its stablecoin posture, saying that it will accept and settle with multiple stable coins across four blockchains, spanning fiat currencies and conversion into more than 25 traditional currencies on its network. So what does that mean, ladies and gents? It means that you can pay with Visa using stablecoins into various actual fiat currencies. So there are 25 of those on its network. Now, Visa CEO Ryan McInerney says that the stablecoin linked card spending on Visa in quarter four, the fourth quarter this time, was four times higher than a year ago. The company framed the move as part of a push to speed up cross-border settlement following a pilot that launched in September to test these stablecoin rails for international transfers. So, if Visa's doing it, MasterCard's going to do it, American Express, and more of these international payment systems are going to be faster and more convenient. Exciting times. Now, for the last story, ties in with our usual next segment, which is up above Vicky's left shoulder there, is an interesting headline. Vicky, tell us more.
Yeah, we're going to talk a bit more about the fear and greed index because the fear and greed index moved to about 47 today, and that is down from last week, but it is up from this weekend. So, really, what's happening possibly is it's following Trump's deal with China. And the crypto analysts say the crypto market crash in October will be looked back as one of the bottom days in hindsight. So the widely used crypto market sentiment indicator, which is the fear and greed index, has remained in uncertain territory, basically despite improved clarity around the trade relations between China and the US. If you remember last week, Donald Trump said, no, we're not going to have tariffs. Well, at first he said, yes, we are. And then he said, no, we're not. So they have reached a trade deal, which kind of put the limit or this way, and now it's gone this way. But hopefully, some crypto analysts suggest that it is going to be positive and the market is going to turn positive soon. And as we know, the fear and greed index marks basically measures overall crypto sentiment. And over the weekend, it went from, I think, 37 down to 33 on Saturday. Then the White House announced this, and now it's back up to 47. So it is actually reacting to that right now. And as we know, October did not turn to be out to be so up. And although it started really good, Bitcoin reached an all-time high at the beginning of October, but now it actually sunk to, as you said before, John, a 4-month low. And it also ended its 7-year streak of October being October. So at the moment, we are in Go-vember, but we are only 3 days in. So it's not great at the moment, but we'll see what happens at the end of for the middle and the end of Go-vember. And hopefully the market will recover.
Well, the one little loophole to the phrase Go-vember is we haven't specified which direction. It could be go down November or go up
True.
November. We'll go sideways.
I'm hedging. I'm hedging like some, famous people do. Oh, if it can go up, it'll go up. It'll go down, it'll go down.
Or it'll go sideways. I mean, it can only go three
Mhm.
directions, right?
Go, go.
All right, speaking of going, moving on, let's have a look at Bitcoin and what is currently happening. Because currently the Go-vember direction is not fantastic. This is the current one-day chart for Bitcoin. Now, we know that there have been a bunch of the OG whales that have had some major sell-offs. We saw back here in August, some of them, but we saw some big ones here, specifically that 15% drop by Bitcoin in one day, that massive liquidation event, which kind of started that catalytic yeah, direction changing things. And you can see that with a bunch of these indicators, some of you might recognize these. That said, at the moment, the trend's going down. We do see some decent support in around 106,000 at the moment. Hopefully that will hold, and hopefully what we'll start to see is as you start to see these lines encounter that red line, we might hopefully see a bit of a bounce. But as mentioned with that IPO story, that's kind of the phase that Jordy Fisser says that we're kind of in, is that it's kind of like this IPO stage where there's a little bit of accumulation and sideways motion. Now, we don't mind sideways. We want Go-vember to be positive. Don't want it to be breaking down that much further. So that's it. I anticipate, unless there's some really good support and this starts to bounce, I unfortunately think we're going to start to revisit some of these lows, 103, 102. Hopefully, it'll be short-lived as more of the institutions start to adopt and accumulate a Bitcoin. If we have a quick look at just this famous little ditty here is the neon green or the HODL fire indicator. So for some of you who bought the dip and you might be following in terms of your buys sells, hitting 116,000 you might have sold a day or two again. This is a potential low point, ladies and gents. So the neon green HODL fire indicator. If you haven't utilized it before, you can check it out on the bitcointough.com store. There is a free 7-day coupon as well. We do have a free call tomorrow as well for those of you who have the indicator only. That's it. All right, at the moment, this looks like this may well disappear. If it breaks down below 106,304, that may well disappear. Having a quick look at what Bitcoin dominance is doing in terms of the amount of trading that is happening between Bitcoin, the buys and the sells. At the moment, that is on the rise. So Bitcoin very much the main focus at the moment, hitting back up at about 60% of all the crypto market buy and sells, or all the trades happening within the cryptocurrency industry. A lot more of it is starting to shift into Bitcoin. Why? As we see Bitcoin dropping more, either people are selling more, which means more people might be buying it up and keeping it up. So the main focus really is Bitcoin for the next little while. I envisage probably just my humble thoughts around this is that until we see Bitcoin dominance, this little ditty, until we start seeing that start to break down below 59.3 or so again, they're also going to be struggling somewhat. All right, there will be some exceptions to the rule. We've seen some great runs by a number of privacy tokens such as Zcash, Dash, and a bunch of others in the last while. DCR looking pretty good. But you know what? In the meantime, Vicky, while Bitcoin is kind of finding its feet and the market is feeling a bit unstable, I think looking at scalp trading as a really good option, grabbing those runs and getting out before things really tank might well be the option to go. And even when the market stabilizes, we could start looking at HODL fires. And I think we've got some news around what's happening around that information this week still.
We do actually, and that brings us to our next segment, which is lodge calls. So it's pretty usual in the lodge this week, barring two things, which actually aren't lodge calls, but we'll talk about them because we like to keep our HODLNOTs up to date. So as usual, after this call, the week kicks off with our self-paced course takers, busy with chapters 1 to 3, and they'll be having their call later today at 12 p.m. UTC. And then the calls continue with Wendy's normal lodge call, which is trading and training on Tuesday. Now, there was a little bit of a confusion last week with what time it was, including her. She had a bit of confusion. So it is actually 6 a.m. UTC tomorrow, which is Tuesday. It has changed because of daylight savings. So 6 a.m. UTC tomorrow. And then the calls continue on the 5th, which is Wednesday, which is the first of our HODL dot calls later that day at 8 p.m. UTC. And then the week continues on Thursday with the second of our HODL dot calls for those who are taking the 3M challenge. And that will be the second at 7 a.m. UTC on Thursday. Now, not a HODL dot call, but the monthly BTAF AMA has rolled around again. Gosh, they come up quickly. And that will be on Thursday, which is the 6th of November at 8 a.m. UTC. Now, the reason we're mentioning this is if you're part of the Whisper Drop initiative, or if you have BTAF token state, you don't want to miss this call. There's going to be lots of information, and watch the channel, the BTAF token channel. If you're not in it, please tag us in the lodge because we need to get you in it. Just because there's exciting news breaking first here, I suppose. Oops, let the cat out of the bag, but HODLNOTS rule, so we let them know first. And then lastly, on Thursday, it's the second of our weekly self-paced call at 12 p.m. UTC, which really ends the week, except for there are two major calls happening, and it is actually the HODL Fire course. So we're doing our second HODL Fire course. And this time, though, it's catering for the Western and Central hemispheres, which means the start is 1 p.m. UTC on both Wednesday and Friday. So there's still time to jump on and purchase the course if you want to learn how to use the HODL Fire a little bit more than normal, actually a lot more than normal. And hopefully you saw there's two testimonials out at the moment. Actually, there's Lisa who did one in English, and that was actually quite funny. And then we also had a German testimonial go out on social media and in the channels, which was fantastic. So those were the students that did last time, and now we're starting again. So Wednesday and Friday will be the date this week, and it's 1 p.m. UTC, and it goes for about 5 hours with a few little breaks in between. So it is actually a giant week for HODLNOTS, and that is all from the lodge at the moment.
Yeah, well, that said, our German-speaking friend is on the call at the moment as well. One of the recent graduates of the HODL Fire live course, as well as one other student as well. Great to see it, both of them. And one of the students that is taking the course this week is also on the call. Super late or super early for you. And I think that gentleman is practicing for that 5 hour marathon, both on Friday and Wednesday as well. But that's it, yes, to Vicky's point, ladies and gents, there is this week and next week as well. That's it ahead of the Australian Crypto Convention, which is also super busy. Big month for HODLNOTS in the month of November. It's all Go-vember, really. Sound like Go Gadget. But anyway, that's it. Yeah, if you're interested and you are in the Western Hemisphere, or even it doesn't matter if you're in Europe or Africa time as well, you can join this week and next week as well. That's it. Certified HODLNOTS, you do get a discount, quite a substantial discount to do that 2-day course and join us as well. Vicky, when is the closing time and date for entrance for this week's course?
You can purchase it and jump on anytime before Wednesday, so about 12:45 p.m. UTC, so like 15 minutes before. There's really not much to do before the course, especially if you're a HODLNOT, because there is a TradingView pre-course video that you should watch if you're not familiar with TradingView. But if you are a HODLNOT, you should be familiar with it. So yeah, up till 12:45 p.m. UTC on Wednesday, you can jump on.
Absolutely. And if you want to find out more, the link is in the chat, in the Zoom chat right now. You can have a quick squiz at that. So, advise to you to get in there early, get to watch the TradingView pre-course video to make sure that you're all set up and ready to go. Make sure you got caffeine, you get some rest, you got some notes, all the prerequisites, all the information on this course. We had a really great bumper course a couple of weeks back. Now we're getting into the next time zone. which is going to be quite late, especially for Vicky. But for those said, if you are slightly insane and you'd like to join us and you're in Australia or New Zealand, by all means do. You won't be the only one. But that said, there will be another course again next week catering for our Eastern Hemisphere. So if you can hold on to that, by all means do. Lots happening in this week, not only for HODLNOTS, but BTAV token. That said, a little bit of a, because you guys are on the call, you're going to see this shortly anyways. We thought well, I thought we'd quickly just give you a little bit of a preview. Dun, 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 dun. All right.
Ooh.
Mm, cuteness is loading. What does that mean? Well, as Vicky mentioned, find out more this week on the BTEF token AMA at 9 a.m. UTC. More details on that as well will be dropped today. But make sure that you do have your Whisper Drop wallets connected. If you don't have, you should have the product in the Bitcoin TAF back office. That's it. If you have any questions and you are on the lodge, feel free to drop a question there. But otherwise, make sure to use the support tickets. But you should all already be well acquainted with the Whisper Drops. Lots of information coming up this week. Thank you, Vicky. Great news. And let's go Vember up, shall we? What are we gonna leave everybody with in terms of the weekly thought?
Yeah, so just before the weekly thought, thank you for everyone who entered the contest, and we did have a winner. So the award was helpful. So congratulations. She is on the call who won, and we posted that in the lodge. So thank you for that. We are not going to start a new game today, though. We may postpone it, we may not. Let's keep an eye on your toes. But for this week's thought, so really, it's all about, we like to keep it positive. It's all about not judging someone until you walk a mile in their shoes or a kilometer or whatever. We've all had a few laughs on autocorrect. And I had a little bit of a snafu on autocorrect this weekend, which is actually why I'm doing it. So, but don't judge autocorrect too harshly because you've never walked in autocorrect shoes. So really, it helps to think that autocorrect is a tiny little elf in your phone that is trying to be helpful, but is in fact quite drunk.
Good to know that it's not me and it's the elf in my phone that's drunk, but yes, fantastic. All right, so don't feel
Yeah.
so bad. Give the little elf a little break. Give yourselves a break, give the market a break, learn how to scalp trade, make money in any markets. Bitcoin 107,344 is looking to bounce back up. Until next week, Monday again, for the HODLNOTS weekly warm-up or all the other calls during the this week as well. We'll see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.